To work, sponsored by our friends at Openpath.
Openpath.
Yes, Openpath, but also yes. Your eyes are not deceiving you. It is Bert and Mandy again, and it's looking like we'll be your hosts for the foreseeable future. Because to be honest, we were having way too much fun with this and with the latest in GBTW news with you all. So, in case you've been under a rock these past couple of weeks. I'm Mandy, Group 337's Marketing and Content Manager, and this is my lovely and talented co-host, Bert Hart, also our graphics whiz. Bert, how you doing?
It is Bert, the legendary.
It is I.
It is I. It is I. Huzzah!
Huzzah! Yeah, I feel like that was something that a graphics whiz would say. But all right. Now I'm going off. Okay. So we have some really great articles for y'all this week. And I think it's about time. It's 3:03. I think it's about time we just go ahead and jump right into them. Yep. So, without further ado, I'm actually changing it up a little bit this week. Not too much, though.
Changing it up.
Because first up is a press release from Cision, which can originally be sourced back to XpertHR. And the headline for this is remote work is set to nearly triple in post-COVID world, according to XpertHR's survey on employee response to COVID-19. Very interesting, but also very much like what Bert and I have been saying these past couple of weeks. Yep. And according to this press release, the average percentage of employees who will work remotely at least part of the time is projected to nearly triple from 12% before the COVID-19 outbreak to 30%. So after the pandemic.
Yep.
And this is according to 835 U.S. employers responding to XpertHR's survey on the employer response to COVID-19, which they conducted between late July and mid-August of this year. And another interesting tidbit from this was that the survey also polled HR professionals to rate how challenging 10 COVID-related issues have been for businesses, and found that maintaining employee morale has been the most difficult, with over 3/4 of participants rating this as either somewhat or very challenging.
Yep.
The press release, you go on to say that the dip in workplace morale can be attributed to a few things, and cited things like workplace layoffs, isolation of remote work, increased caregiving and homeschooling responsibilities, as well as, of course, concerns about contracting the disease itself as, the reasons for this being such a challenge and high priority for HR professionals to tackle. The report also discusses what measures employers are taking to support the wellness of their employees during this unprecedented time. And it shows that offering flexible work schedules to allow for, those caregiving and homeschooling needs has been the most popular option, with 70% of responding employers taking this step, which is awesome. This year I think is a huge step towards some work-life balance and progress towards making things work for employees. Yeah. I think just reading about this stuff, it makes me more optimistic about the future of work, as it shows that, many employers are working with their employees to accommodate all the craziness and, all the wrenches this pandemic has thrown at us all. So there's a light at the end of this tunnel.
Yep. Definitely a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. And it's really great to see businesses accommodating all these things. Bert? Yeah, yes. So what do you have for us?
So for my article for week 12, numero dos. Okay, sorry. So article number 2, it is titled, Is the Office Finished? Is the Office Finished? Brought to you by The Economist. So when we think about the office before COVID-19, most people might think of like routine or conformity, but now people are associating, the office to like economic uncertainty or like dispute, because a lot of people are talking about it. For a lot of people around the world, the main question is the office obsolete? And they're getting a lot of different like conclusions from that question. Fact, 84%, 84% of French office workers are back at their desks, but less than 40% of British workers are. Jack Dorsey, the head of Twitter, said that workers can work from home forever. But Reed Hastings, the founder of Netflix, says that home working is like pure negative. So definitely don't agree there. And I find it interesting. So these disagreements that people are now having because of this whole thing, like basically comes from uncertainty around the pandemic. But check this out though. Like, here's what has happened. The pandemic has revealed how the office that we've been like running with, has been more of a relic in the 20th century. Even as the office has adapted, technology, to help transform, white collar workers. The article talks about how the office used to be like mainly paper based. You drop a note here. I gotta sign this piece of paper, and our meetings where we present everything on notes and paper and stuff like that. A lot of those functions was based around like paper based things, and now it kind of created a pattern where people have to like commute to work, or whether that be a car or a train or something like that, to come to this like central place. And it's crazy that with us being where we are now, we're still kind of rolling on that pattern of like, okay, even though we have this technology, we're still going to like come to this central location, just to get the work done. And now we have technology like electronic documents or platforms like Slack.
Right.
Yeah, platforms like Slack and Zoom, and these platforms has been around for like almost 10 years. Like, come on. And we're still doing the same thing. We talked about it a little bit like last week. It's just like we can't like break this system, of like doing the same stuff. But fact alert. Before the pandemic, 3% of Americans worked remote regularly. Now, after the pandemic, those numbers have increased significantly, and a lot of offices and a lot of companies are making changes, or making like adjustments for people who are working from home and for people who have to come into the office. And that's interesting. That brings up like another question. How will things be after we get a vaccine? Will we keep this change? Will this change that we like, that we adapted to because of, COVID-19, will that still be in place? And to like probably better answer that question, we gotta like look at places that are dealing with, COVID-19 and that are handling it really well. And for example, Germany, they have low numbers and stuff like that. But in Germany, they have 74% of their workers are back in the office, but half is there, less than 5 days a week. So according to surveys by like Morgan Stanley, and the picture that they've created is optional office. Optional office, meaning you don't necessarily have to be in the office to get work, to get things done, or you don't necessarily have to come to the office every day. And the article goes on about how trying to find like the exact balance, and this balance is going to be based on the industry, the city. Yes. And that's pretty much And that's pretty much the some of the main points from this thing. And you should definitely, I think you should definitely go and read because it deep dives into a few other things, especially when it comes to like government and what they're doing or whatever in regards to that. But it was definitely a very interesting read. And I never thought about like 3% of Americans worked remotely regularly before this thing. Oh, only 3%? Oh God, that's really low.
Wow, that's nuts. No, that's a really good one. I think I don't know, I don't know, do we plan this or something? Or I think my the next article follows up pretty well 2 years there. With the concept of the fact that we've had all these tools for all this time. Digital,
Exactly.
digital, for lack of better words, I don't know, digital paper, like Google
Yeah.
Doc, Microsoft Word, stuff like that. Ability to share things through that way versus physically passing a paper off, to your coworker. So I think this is it's a good follow up to that.
Definitely.
So this is an article from Forbes by Emily Key called "Why Learning is the Future of Work." So I gravitated toward this article because I knew it was going to be really informative for all of us.
Yeah.
And I think it's also something new that we haven't necessarily touched on in GBTW.
Yeah.
And the article, it starts out by saying that the performance of entire organizations will very much hinge on whether they can adapt to fast-paced changes in the world of information technology. Again, going digital.
Yep.
Everything's going digital. Bert and I are currently chatting and streaming live to you guys via Google Hangouts. So,
Yes.
the article, it then goes on to say that it starts up essentially to go on to say, I lost my track, but essentially, this isn't something that it should surprise most of us. As we're all having to find and use new ways to communicate with one another remotely for work. But the article, goes back and offers some more insights, how while this should be a major priority for businesses, most businesses are still kind of hard pressed to keep employees up to speed on latest technology and to help them acquire newly emerging skills. And as we continue to keep doing work from home, everyone's ability to keep up with the latest technology and tools is really going to become more and more important. And something I appreciate that the article does is that it doesn't just point out something that might make us all a little anxious. It also makes suggestions on how leaders and organizations can motivate their employees to be continuous learners, especially in a time like this, when the importance of building that kind of agility and this kind of culture of learning in an organization is crucial. And, while a lot of us know that, in order to progress in any company, we do need to continually learn and adapt to shifts in job requirements and, to keep acquiring new skills. This kind of mindset, it's still something that isn't necessarily ingrained in everyone. And, it's important for businesses, business leaders to kind of take a step back, note this, and understand it. The article they also go on to say that because of this, businesses need to step up their game, and that this learning culture needs to be rooted in the foundation of a business and way more prioritized in order for organizations to actually succeed and innovate in this time. Employers, they also need to make sure that their employees not only have the resources to acquire new skills, but they're also actively encouraged to use those resources. That's just a big thing right now.
Oh, definitely.
It will continually be a big thing. And the article adds that now that the pandemic has caused online learning to go mainstream, that we all have more resources than ever to keep ourselves agile and adept and, capable of adapting to basically any workplace change now. And then, the article then closes by saying that businesses and employees should try to start viewing all this change as an opportunity in order to help preserve a certain equilibrium, so that this view on opportunity can actually end up balancing out all of the uncertainty and, doom and gloom we all may be feeling right now.
Yep.
All those fears that and, additional responsibilities that we now have, all that stress. We can see this as an opportunity and try to balance it all out. It also mentions that companies should start focusing on understanding how people respond to change and implement the kind of tools needed to add new capabilities, whether that be acclimating to remote work or learning a new programming language or software. And that overall, both learning and work have the potential to drive meaningful change. It'll be one thing, to recruit people that value continuous learning, but a whole other thing for, to build a true culture of learning within your organization. And that is something that, I think will end up making the biggest impact for most organizations. Wow. And with that, I do believe we have just wrapped up. I do believe we have just wrapped up another episode of GBTW.
Yes. Do any one of you guys, for the people who are watching currently, any questions? Feel free to drop something in the comment section. Any questions about anything?
Yeah, just let us know, or any article topics you want to hear about. You might not have all the time in the world to rummage through all the news and all the things you might want to learn about, but we're doing this for a reason. Yes. So let us know if there are any topics that you want to learn a bit more about, and we'll be happy to bring them up in the next few episodes here. But for those of you who tuned in, we really appreciate you, and we look forward to sharing more on getting back to work with you next week.
Absolutely. And I also want to thank you so much. Thank you, Openpath. Check out Openpath. They brought this episode. Awesome.
Yes.
And subscribe to the newsletter.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, you have yourselves a great weekend.
Yeah, we're going to drop a link here somewhere where you can subscribe. Don't miss out, please. FOMO.
Yeah, don't do that. All right, I think we're done, folks.
All right, cool, awesome. Well, until the next time, everyone. Namaste.
Man, I need a catchphrase like that. All right, bye, guys. Have a great weekend. Appreciate you.